The next example here is where we introduce brackets. So what do we need to do first? Well, the very first thing, step number one, is to actually clear the brackets. And so we're going to use distribution to do this. After that, we do everything that we've done. So this is the only new step compared to the last couple. So once we're done, we need to look at the left side, combine any like terms, look at the right side, combine any like terms. Then, which is step number two, after that, then we'll need to move the smaller x, combine the variables. This is to the left, though I don't actually do that. I move everything, I move the smaller or more negative x. And then after that, we just do BEDMAS. So we've done 2, 3, and then BEDMAS. We've done that. But what we need to do now is just clear the brackets. So that's where we're at. Now, I'd like to just show you how would we normally do something like this. 5 times 3 plus 4. Well, you know that 3 plus 4 is 7, and then 5 times 7 is 35. So what we did was BEDMAS. This is what we did inside the brackets first, made it a 7, and then we did the multiply. So you know the answer is 35. However, look at this. We can do something a slightly different way. We can do something called distribution. So we can distribute the 5 in. We can say go 5 times 3, and then go 5 times 4. So you see that here. We've gone 5 times 3, 5 times 3, 15. And then we did, or we can do, I'll choose a different color here, but that absolutely did not work. There we go. That one, 5 times 4, which is 20. Then if you add 15 and 20, you're going to get 35, which is exactly what we got here. They're both 35. So you can do inside the brackets like we did here and get 35, or you can distribute the 5 in. Instead of going 3 plus 4 first, you go 5 times 3, 15, 5 times 4, 20, and then add them. Now, the problem that we have is that we don't have this option because one of these is an x. So we'll have this as an x. And x and 4 cannot be combined. So here, 3 and 4 were like terms, we can combine them, but that's not going to be the case for us. So let's take a look here at our very first example, where we're going to have to use distribution. So how do you get the x alone? Step number one, if you ever see brackets, distribute the x in. So I'm going to go 4 times x. 4 times x is 4x. Then I'm going to do 4 times 3. 4 times 3 is a 12. And then I get equals 44. Now, once you distribute the brackets are always your first thing. And then you want to combine any like terms on either side. So there's no like terms on here. There's just an x and a 12. And this is just a 44 on the right. After you've combined like terms, you want to move over the smaller x. But there's only one x. So after that, you can do backwards BEDMAS. So to get the x alone here, I will minus 12 from both sides because you want to get rid of the add or subtract first. So 4x is equal to 44 minus 12. 44 minus 10 is 34. And then 2 more, which is 32. And then this says 4 times x, so we'll divide by 4, and we'll divide by 4. So x is equal to 8. Now, does that actually work? Think about what happens if you put an 8 back in here. If you made the x an 8. Well, if this was an 8, you'd have 8 plus 3. 8 plus 3 is 11. 11 times 4 is 44. So we know we're right. So, recap, we want to distribute the 4 into the brackets and then combine any like terms, move over the smaller x. None of those were an option. And then you use backwards BEDMAS. So let's do that here. I see a bracket. Okay, let's multiply the negative 7 in. So negative 7 times x is just a negative 7x. You can't really combine them. And the negative 7 times negative 8 is a positive 56. So I've got negative 35 in the equals. So step number one was to combine like terms. step number 1 was to do the brackets. Now our step number 1 is to combine like terms, and there are no like terms on either side. Also, we need to move over the smaller x, not an option. So then we just have backwards BEDMAS. So get rid of the add or subtract first. So 56, we will minus the 56 over to this side. So what do I have here? A negative 7x, and then I've got this. 35 bad and 56 bad. So they're both bad. They're going to join forces. We've got to add them. I don't know what that is off the top of my head, so I'm going to go 56 and 35. I'm just going to add them and see what that is. 6 plus 5 is 11. Carry the 1. 5 plus 3 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9, 91. So this is a negative 91, because again, they're both negative, so they're going to join forces, and there's 91 in total. Assuming that's right. I guess I'm going to have to double check that here. We'll have to see if that actually works. Now, this is a times, so to get rid of a times, we'll do the opposite, which is divide. So divide by negative 7, that way that cancels out, that becomes a 1. But I got to do that to this side. Both negatives there will make this thing a positive. And we have to do 91 divided by 7. I don't know what that is, so I'm going to go 7 into 91. 7 goes into 9 2 times. 2 times 7. Oh, sorry, 1 time. I don't know what I'm thinking. 1. 1 times 7 is 7. So I can subtract them. 9 minus 7 is 2. And then carry this down. 1. 7 goes into 21 3 times. 3 times 7 is 21. Whoops, 21. And if I subtract them, I get 0. Perfect. So it looks to me like 91 divided by 7 is 13. And there's an x. That was awkward. I zoomed out a little too early there. All right, so there we go. And to recap, there's this line here. To recap, you bring the negative 7 in by multiplying, and then the other two steps aren't there, and we just do backwards BEDMAS. We don't have anything to combine, and we don't have to get x's onto one side. Now, let's try this again. We're going to have to bring this bracket in here, so negative 3 times x squared is just positive 3 times x squared is just a 3x squared. I'm going to zoom in a bit. 3x squared. And then 3 times negative 5 is going to be a negative 15, which is equal to 33. Now, I need to get the x, I need to combine like terms on either side. There are none. I need to get the x's onto one side of the equal sign. Well, it's already on one side. So at this point, you need to just do backwards BEDMAS. So I'll add the 15 onto both sides to get a 3x squared, 33, 48. And then because this is timesing by 3, I will divide by 3 to get an x squared is equal to 48 divided by 3. Let's look over what that is. 3, 48. 3 goes into 4 once. 1 times 3 is 3. Bring that down. 3 goes into 18 6 times. 6 times 3 is 18. To get me 0. Okay, so it's just 16. And the x is not alone. I have to get rid of that squared, so I will square root both sides. That cancels out. Square root of 16 is, don't forget the plus or minus, and the 4. Square root of 16 is 4. Then we have the plus or minus. So to recap, for all three of these questions, there we go. First step, bring the number inside the brackets, and that gets rid of the brackets. You see at step number 1 here, there are no more brackets written. After that, you want to combine like terms. None of these had that. Then you also want to bring the x to one side. None of these had that. Then you want to do backwards BEDMAS. They all had that. So the next time, example 3 here, which is the last two questions, that has those other two steps that weren't originally in these. So these, it will have brackets, and then you'll have to combine like terms, get everything to one side. So that's what's coming next. But first we need to show you how to actually get rid of the brackets. So this is just zoomed out here for you to pause and make any notes.